I mean, we have students from all over the country, all over the world, and we bring them together at least with the theory that they're going to somehow broaden and educate one another.
Right.
And so has the fact that we have these students from around the world meant something to your education?
I think so, yeah, because, so for me, a lot of it's been like, okay, what is this whole like people of color label? Is it just that we're not white? Because like that seems like a loose way to compare.
Tell me about that label. Some students embrace it, some students, I don't like that.
And I'm like, you know, so I was reading this book, or I was skimming this book, to be honest. It was like The Heart of Whiteness. And so it was like, the thought there is that why are you calling people of color just because they're not white? So then should you use the term non-white, but is that prioritizing whiteness as the norm and assuming that all white people are the same? So, I mean, I hate it, but it's like the most applicable term, I don't know, at the moment. Or it's just the term that everyone recognizes right now. And so it's like, okay, how do you create unity among people? But then also you can't assume that someone is not white. So like I accidentally called someone a POC the other day. They're like, what do you mean I'm white? And I was like, I was a little shook. And so like for me, it was just like recognizing that like I can't put these labels on people just like I don't want people to put labels on me, right? And so I think international students are interesting in that perspective because their understanding of race and race relations and everything is completely different and just not applicable to the same way, and not the same that it is in the United States. And so right now my honors thesis is about Black expatriates in Beijing. And so just recognizing that there's differences in how people understand and engage with differences on the basis of skin color, nationality, language, what have you. And so just being careful not to say, this is, well, I grew up in the United States, and so when something is racist, this is racist. And it's like, well, actually, who can be a racist? Is it just like racism is just against Black people? Or is it like, and looking at it in terms of like power structures and hierarchies. And that's how you end up with inequalities. So for me, yeah, the term people of color, it sucks, but it's what we have for now. So you work with it, but then also like have moments like this where you explain, you know, why you love it and why you hate it, and what's a better way, and then working towards that as well. But then also not getting bogged down in like the technicalities of the technicalities and the limitations of a language, right? So it's like regardless if we're all POC, guess what? These systems that are oppressing people are still in place. So we're really going to argue over a term, or are we going to figure out how to dismantle those systems? So figuring out how to where to spend your time, because for me, talking in circles is pointless. People get pretty hung up on language. They do, which, you know, if I could change something, that is what I would change. And once again, it's a double-edged sword, right? So at some points, at some level, language is a beautiful tool that you can use to not manipulate, but to help encourage people or to change people's opinions. On the other hand, we get bogged down with technicalities. And so what does this actually mean? How intensely are we arguing those words? And maybe that goes back to like, what is someone's job within a revolution? So maybe it's some people's job to work with language and figure out, you know, how do we get the language to work in our favor? Like and you know, and maybe other people's job is like, okay, language is here, but what else can be happening? So I don't think it's a pointless cause to argue about language. Language matters. Yeah, it does. And so that's not my job right now. And so giving people the space to work with that, but then also like still being cognizant of what's changing and like trying to keep up with the times, for lack of a better term.